Welcome to Slow Home. Too many people live in badly designed houses, and we want to change that.
This is day 93 of the Slow Home Project, and we need you to join us in our quest to evaluate the design quality of houses in 9 North American cities in 9 months. This week, we are analyzing apartment lofts in Denver, and today we are going to be doing an in-detail review of the kitchen question on the Slow Home test.
So I'm going to take everybody through some examples of some good kitchens in apartment lofts, as well as some common pitfalls and things to avoid.
Exactly. Just so that everybody's familiar with it, you remember that the kitchen question, the little bit of text at the bottom to guide you says that the kitchen has a compact work area with ample storage, continuous work surfaces, and a reasonable number of appliances. So that's what we're looking for as an objective within kitchens, and you're going to take us through some.
Exactly. So let's have a look. So we're going to start out with 3 good examples, and these are the 3, I would say, most typical types of kitchens you find in an apartment loft. So the first one here is an island kitchen. And with an island kitchen, what's really important is the distance between the island and the back counter.
Exactly.
And you really want that to be 3 feet to 3 feet 6. If it's bigger than 3 foot 6, you're taking up too much room in a small apartment loft. If it's tighter than 3 feet, it's too tight.
Can't open the dishwasher.
And as you can see, we've got a really good appliance triangle here. Lots of counter space. I really like the location of the pantry at the end.
Well, and I like the fact that it actually is it's an L kitchen, right?
Yep.
It's got that one side on the left that has storage.
Plus the washer dryer. It's actually a good way of
Very
consolidating the space. Yeah, so this is a good example. This is also, I think, a good example. This is a U-shaped kitchen that works actually quite well. You can see it's outside of the main zone of circulation, so you walk into it. Plus it has a good relationship to the dining space, so you're not sitting in the dining room looking right into the kitchen. Again, compact work triangle.
Exactly. And the challenge with U's, and I saw that a lot when we were looking at the projects this week, is that sometimes those U's open into the dining room or open into the living room, and this one doesn't really do that.
Okay, so this is the next example that is common in an apartment loft style project, and this is a galley kitchen. And galley kitchens, I think, can be really problematic, but this one's actually pretty good. So a galley kitchen is defined by when the peninsula actually hits the wall, so you can't walk
freestanding.
Exactly. The thing that's nice about this one is, again, we've got reasonable floor space, we've got a tight appliance triangle, and again, they've located the pantry in the right spot.
With the laundry.
Exactly. And it makes sense. It's got a good relationship to the dining as well as a good relationship to the living room.
The only thing I would say about this is that the kitchen, the aisle of the alley in the galley opens out to
onto the living
room, which
space.
is a little not so nice. And I do question about whether that dining room is going to have enough space, but that's not about kitchens.
Correct. In terms of the kitchen layout, though, I think that one actually works fairly well. So let's look at some common pitfalls. These are things to avoid. These are problems. Okay, we see these over and over again. Here is a U-shaped kitchen. The kitchen itself is not that bad. However, it opens right to the dining space.
That's right.
So, and I feel that this one has probably too much floor space, and it kind of bleeds into the rest of it.
It almost feels like you'd need an island in there, right?
Yeah, it's just slightly too big, and it just doesn't quite work. So that's one that's a problem. This is another one that we see all the time.
Open-sided.
An L-shaped kitchen with no island. So they're assuming that you're going to put a dining table here, which I think is kind of a cop-out.
I don't like
We
that.
saw that all over Toronto. We've seen these in Dallas as well. I think it's a cop-out. I think that it doesn't really enclose the kitchen space well enough, and as you can see, the dining is in circulation.
Well, and as we noticed when we were in Toronto, it makes the kitchen look bigger when you first look at it,
yeah.
But then when you actually decide, well, in order to have enough counter space, I'm going to have to add that island or table, suddenly you don't have enough room to do anything.
Yeah, I think the L kitchens and the single-sided kitchens in the apartment lofts are actually bad. They should be avoided. That's my opinion. This is another, okay, this is interesting, because here they've got an L kitchen, and then they've got a tiny island with no function and a tiny dining room table. I mean, it's really bad. I also think that the square footage that they've allocated to the kitchen in this plan is too big.
That's right. There's too much kitchen.
Too much. I think what they should have done is they should have had one bank of counter and one island. I mean, I don't particularly like the orientation of that, but you can see how you can all of a sudden get more functional space just by doing that. The L is useless.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at another common pitfall. This is another issue. The kitchen is too small. So here we've got a small apartment loft, but this is all appliances. Look at this. There is no room anywhere on either side of the range. There's basically a tiny little bit of counter next to the sink. The sink has no counter on that one end, and then we've jammed the washer dryer into the corner, and with a bifold door. I mean, this is too small for all of that.
Well,
stuff.
and it's also, I think it's another example of a problem where in those long narrow spaces where you have a kitchen that floats in the middle.
Yeah,
and
I mean, this space is just useless.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's an organizational issue, but this kitchen is too small. There's too much in it. So here's another issue. Here we've got an L-shaped kitchen. The proportion seems okay. The island is useless. This island is too far away. There's no function. It's too small. and it really is silly. I
Yeah.
mean, they just needed to change the design of this, move it in a little bit, maybe possibly change the location of the front entry door to get a bit more size on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really trying to jam that in.
Ah, dear, 45-degree
There's
angle.
a couple problems here. This island is terrible. It's the rounded end it's protrudes into the space. Look at the flooring here.
Yeah.
We've got an
Really
ambiguity
awkward,
as
isn't
to
it?
where the kitchen starts
Well, you
and
have
stops.
to walk
and-
through the kitchen to get anywhere, don't you?
Exactly, and you're going to be walking by someone who's cooking, and I mean, it's
Well,
not.
there's also there's no storage. There's
Yeah.
no anywhere,
No.
and really, yeah,
It's terrible.
And that 45-degree angle really messes up the
rest of the plan.
space,
I know,
doesn't
it's
it?
brutal. Okay, here's another issue.
Last one, right?
The last one, yeah. This is a floating island. So here we've got the kitchen. Not a bad idea to place it on the back of the stair. That's fine. This island is too small. It floats in the middle of the space.
That's right. It just
Like,
completely destroys that dining room, right?
it makes no sense. And then with the washer dryer located here, the kitchen is kind of taking over this whole area. Really, that's all kitchen. You don't have any room for dining, and the living is totally compromised.
It's
as
interesting
well.
because that could just as easily have been presented for sale without the island, and you go, oh, like
Yeah,
if you were in
I know.
Toronto, that's what you'd see.
I know. In Toronto, there'd be no island.
and
In Denver, they
and
added
then
it.
you'd reel it. Then so at least there's truth in advertising.
But I think people have to be aware of when islands are too small. I mean, that's a common thing. Like people
Yeah,
throw
I agree.
islands in, and then they're actually too small. You have to really look at it. Like in my opinion, an island should have function. Like it should have either the sink, should have some sort of an appliance in it to make it functional,
Which you
and
can't
ample
if it's
storage.
aftermarket. You add it
No.
in after all it is.
No,
is a
you can't.
table.
It's just a table. So
That's
then
right.
it becomes redundant.
That was very interesting. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed that. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a review over of the week's activities in Denver.
And looking at the design projects.
That's right.